In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Carb pizza is what you want. You need to check realgoodfoods.com. Taste is amazing. Oh yeah, it's the bomb. You need to check realgoodfoods.com. Free shipping online and in Kroger stores across the U.S. realgoodfoods.com. Woo!
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me on one of two, maybe three places. Definitely two places. Today, we are on Instagram Live, and so that's Instagram Live right there. We're also simulcasting on Facebook Live. What's up, Facebook? So we're going live with this show a couple times a day, so you've got to go follow me on one of those formats. I'm at Living Low Carb Man on Instagram, and then Facebook, go find me there as well. If you missed the live, you can watch it on Facebook here on replay. You can also watch it on replay on Instagram Live, but it only stays up for like 24 hours on Instagram. So after 24 hours, it does disappear. We put all the past episodes of Jimmy Rants up on YouTube. So go type in keyword Jimmy Rants on YouTube or a Google search. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this year's show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast. And somebody yesterday said, I can't find, and they were looking for some specific episode. And I was like, well, we don't put all of the episodes up on YouTube, up on podcast, because they only allow you to show like the last 300, and we're about to hit 300. And so we only put like the best of the best moments of the show up there. And it's not even the full show. So if you want to get the full show with the comments and the questions and everything, you got to really go check it out on YouTube. But if you do like to listen to the podcast, we have it in podcast form on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is one that's a little bit off script of what I typically talk about here on my show. So those of you that follow me regularly, you know that I like to talk about nutritional health, very specifically ketogenic diets, maybe some of the cultural things that are happening in the world of nutrition. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about a life philosophy, a bit of a mindset, because this is related to how you interact with people online and your goal, your stated goal of probably wanting to be healthier. That's why you watch this goofy guy on video every day, because you desire to optimize your health. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that get in their own way, and or they allow things to happen within kind of their online space that totally discourage them and brings them down. And I've got this Instagram post that was posted, hat tip, by the way, on Instagram. A friend of mine, Joanne Wilcox, from Keto in Canada, she posted this today, and I went and read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get this out there. And I've got a few more thoughts to say about this. But what we're going to talk about here today is stop caring about what people think of you. There's nothing to prove. And before I get to what this Ashley Clemieux wrote, she's got quite the following on Instagram, by the way, hundreds of thousands of followers. But as someone who is very out there on the internet, and I have been for the past 15 years. There's a lot of people that have come online in the past few years, and they've risen to popularity, and they've grown quite the following themselves. But I've been out here for a long time, and I've watched this evolution of how people talk to you, and I've talked about it a little bit before, some of the ugliness that's out there and how you handle that. But you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. And yet there are going to be these characterizations of who and what you are that are put out there. And I'll give you an example of it. There is this, about me, there is this notion that's put out there, and you can see it if you Google around or look around on social media, of this image that people have of Jimmy Moore. They call me, what is that phrase? A butter chugger. I don't even know what a butter chugger is supposed to be, but apparently there's this notion that all Jimmy Moore does is stuffs butter down his throat every day, and that's why he's so fat. He needs to get his act together, blah, 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 all that stuff that I deal with every day, you guys. So there's that image of me. Now, people that know me, Christine, namely, is the one that sees me in the day-to-day. She would be the first to tell you that I don't, quote, chug butter. Do I eat butter? You bet I do. But I would probably say maybe a tablespoon or two a day. And especially since I've gone keto carnivore, I don't eat as much butter because the meats that I consume are already naturally high in fat, so I don't need to be adding too much extra fat at all, and I don't. So the notion that I'm a, quote, butter chugger has been out there for a little while. It all stems back to this photo I posted of myself as a joke. You guys know I like to have a lot of fun. And so I put a big old stick of Kerrygold butter on a plate of breakfast that had eggs and bacon on it. And I put this whole stick of butter and I made this big old eyeball look at it. And so now that has become a meme of sorts that describes and defines who I am in the eyes of people. And there's some people that write to me and they'll say, you know, you need to stop eating 5 sticks of Kerrygold butter every single day. No wonder you're so fat. And they make all these characterizations about me that I go, where in the world are they coming up with this characterization, this meme of me that is really so far from the truth of who and what I am? Okay? All right, so if you're just joining us, we're talking about this idea that you need to stop caring about what people think of you, because you have nothing to prove to anybody. You are you, and you should never apologize for who you are. I get people tell me all the time, you need to stop being so silly when you do podcasts. What's with all the voices? Why do you have to interject your opinion? Just shut up and let your guests talk. Okay, that's nice. Thanks for sharing your opinion. When you figure out how to do podcasting, you show me how to do it better then. That's generally my thought process on that. But honestly, I don't care what you think. I don't. That studio right there is where the magic begins. And if you don't like what I do there, that's fine. Don't listen to my podcast. If you don't like hearing this guy yell at a screen during Jimmy Rants, don't watch Jimmy Rants. How easy is that? Because I don't care what you think. I don't have anything to prove to you, anybody. Just be who you are. All right, so I'm going to get to this story. This was a really cool story. Again, the name of the lady, Ashley Clemieux. And she wrote this beautiful Instagram post that I have some thoughts about, but I want to read her thoughts as well. Ashley wrote, recently, I've heard some untrue things that people I do not even know have said about me. Something a dear friend once told me was, it's okay, people have the right to be wrong about you. And that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, that people have the right to be wrong about you. And here's the other thing. Don't devalue what they think of you. Because really, at the end of the day, what they think of you doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And what they think of you is a lot more of a reflection of who and what they are than it is really anything to do with you at all. Now, we take it personally because our names are involved, or in the case of the butter chugger meme thing that's out there, there's this notion, and let's just be frank, it's a lie, that people are seeing. It's so funny because people meet me in person and we'll go out to dinner or whatever, and they're like, wow, you're nothing like what I saw online. I'm like, well, don't believe everything you read online is what I first tell them. But they're shocked because they had this kind of imagery of who they thought I was. And then when they find out who I really am, then they're like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't match up. But people can be wrong about you. And you got to be okay with that. And when you realize that people can be wrong about you, how empowering is that? How empowering is it knowing, and of course, most of you don't have kind of internet fame like I have, and so I'm more in the spotlight than a lot of you guys, but even in your day-to-day, you'll have people that will interact, especially since you do a ketogenic diet, since you do periods of fasting, and since you maybe eat a carnivore diet. How extreme are you people for doing all that stuff? So you're going to get some of that same kind of feedback. And I want to encourage you, stop caring about what those people think. Let them think what they think, because you've got nothing at all to prove to them. You be you, and unabashedly be you. Guys, people have tried to change me for years. You know, if you were a lot less silly, you'd have more followers. Okay, great. Thank you. If you just would listen to your guests and stop interrupting them so much, you'd be a better interviewer, and maybe you'd have more people listen to your podcast. Okay, thanks for that. Appreciate that. I mean, so much like unsolicited advice that you finally go, all right, screw it. I'm just going to be me. I don't give a rip about what you think. If you don't like my podcast because you think I interrupt people, don't listen to my podcast. If you don't like my Jimmy Rants because I yell at the screen from time to time, it is called Jimmy Rants, by the way, then don't watch. If you have some kind of knowledge about me that you think you know me, and yet when you meet me, you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, then maybe you should have had that into consideration. It's pretty fascinating. But getting back to Ashley Clemieux, and if you're just joining us, I got this Instagram post today by my friend Keto in Canada, Joanna. She posted this on her wall, and I was just like blown away by what Ashley had to write about not really worrying about what people think about you and what their perception of you is, because it's less to do with you and more to do with them. So again, I'm live on Instagram here, live on Facebook. All right. The fact that I didn't have to prove anyone wrong or dwell and get anxiety over why someone would say such untrue things about me, that I could simply be okay with other people being wrong about me and then not allowing it to take any hold on who I am. Guys, this preaches. And again, for someone like myself and others that are in a more prominent role online where people know your name, we need to hear this stuff. This is really, really good. And I'm seeing it more and more. You know, sometimes I'll post things that people say to me or about me on various social media, and people, oh, you shouldn't let them get to you. And my thinking of this, because I've been doing this for so long, is it's really less about me and more about trying to help those people that are brand new to this, and maybe they're getting some of this kind of feedback, and encouraging those people. Because for me, I've done it so long, I really don't care about what you think of me. Now, if you love me, I appreciate that, so don't get me wrong. But if you despise me or you think I'm unworthy of being able to talk about health online or whatever other nastiness that's out there, I don't really care. And so you don't bother me anymore. But you might bother some of my friends. Friends that are new to this space, friends that are trying to get a foothold in this, friends that, quite frankly, maybe are a little more sensitive to these kinds of things. So that's why I speak out. It's another reason I'm doing this Jimmy Rants here today, all about this. So let me continue in the article from Ashley Clemieux. How much time do we spend worrying about what other people think or say about us? Oh, a lot of people spend way too much time. And for me, people are like, well, don't spend a lot of time on these haters and on the people that are saying these ugly things. And I'm like, do you see how much content I put out a week? Nutritional Pearls podcast on Monday, Living La Vida Low Carb Show Tuesday, Wednesday, Keto Talk on Thursday, Keto Hacking MD podcast on Friday, Jimmy Rants twice a day. I don't think I let them hinder or take up time of what I'm doing. But what I do is I acknowledge that this is the kind of thing that happens. I try to be an encourager to those that are fellow troubadours in this space of keto and health, to encourage them. But don't worry about it, is what Ashley is saying. Don't worry about what they're saying and what they're doing. How much time do we spend trying to prove ourselves? I'm going to be honest with you. When I first came online in 2005 was when I started the Living La Vida Low Carb blog. 2006, I started the podcast. I used to think I have to constantly prove myself. And if I'm anything less than in the eyes of other people and in my perception of how they saw me, vis-a-vis if I gained weight, vis-a-vis if I had a bad blood health marker, vis-a-vis if I spoke in such a way that misrepresented who I was, all of those things, you guys, used to be the definition of what I did, trying to prove myself. And it was, I'm trying to remember exactly when it happened, but it was somewhere around 2009. I'd been podcasting for several years, and I'd kind of seen how what people were saying about me really wasn't true. And so why did I worry about them? In fact, I had one, and those of you that are longtime followers, one lady, and she's still out there from what I understand. People tell me about her every once in a while, but there's one lady, she's just relentless in anti-Jimmy Moore-ism. If I say the sky is blue, she says, no, it's green. So after, at first I tried to engage her because it's natural human, the human experience to want people to like you. It's natural that if some untruth is being said about you, that you want to defend yourself. But at the end of the day, you don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't. And I know it's so hard to restrain yourself when you see untruths said about you. And it literally happens on a daily basis to me, you guys. I gave the butter chugger example earlier, but there's millions of these kinds of little things that I could share with you that people say about me. And I'll have people write me that are fans of, aren't you going to defend yourself? No. I got nothing to prove. I don't care what they think. I don't have to continually try to prove myself. All right, so she continues. Here's a question I want you to answer out loud right now. And I'm going to ask you guys this question. What have you stopped trying to prove yourself? And maybe you're that person that you post online and you feel like you have to put on a face. And you post online and you feel like you can't really share everything about what's going on in your life because you're afraid that it would make you look less than. But I'm going to flip the script on you. What if what you did became authentic? What if what you did showed warts and all everything that's going on in your world? How powerful would that be? And of course, doing that will require you to stop caring what people think. Doing that will require you to stop trying to prove anything to anybody. Be confident in who and what you are, and then let the chips fall where they may. I've gotten into many situations where people are like, well, I don't know why you had to be so real and honest about that. You could have just blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, is that real life? Real life is real ugly sometimes. And share that because you got nothing to prove. And you don't need to be worrying about what other people think. People are going to be wrong about you, so just be good with that. Quite frankly, it's not your job or your responsibility to juggle all of their issues that they have with you. Like you're balancing glass plates terrified they're going to drop. You ever lived your life that way, where you're sitting there and you feel like you just got all these glass plates and you're trying to balance them on the end of a stick, and finally you let them go? What happens when you let them go? Release. What happens when you no longer let what other people think about you bother you? Release. What happens when you feel like you don't have to prove yourself to anybody anymore? Release. And guys, I argue, and I say this quite a bit in my work, I argue that it's not our diets that's causing us weight and health issues. It is, but it's not the only thing that's doing it. I think a major contribution to why people still struggle in health issues and in weight has a lot to do with the self-imposed stress that they allow to come in their lives. And you know who you are. You know if you do that already. I don't have to sit here and articulate, well, I wonder. No, you know. You know if you're honest with yourself, you know if you're your own worst enemy when it comes to putting stress on your body that's self-imposed. You let what other people think about you worry you. You feel like you constantly have to prove yourself to them. And I'm here to tell you flat out, no, you don't. You got nobody that's beholden to you're not beholden to anyone. Let's put it that way. And if you feel that way, that you feel you're beholden to somebody or some image or some whatever that you have to uphold, can I encourage you today, let this Jimmy Rants be your impetus for letting that go? Because your sanity is going to thank you for that. Your stress level will thank you for that. Now, on top of letting this go, you might need to do some yoga, you might need to do some meditation, you might need to do other kind of mindset things and relaxation type techniques to help get you there, to get the stress down in your life. And quite frankly, that's why I'm taking 6 months off starting September the 1st. So September the 1st through February the 29th, I ain't doing nothing. No Jimmy Rants, no podcast, no book writing, no nothing. Because I want to see if being away for a period of time will let that stress come down. And then the health ramifications in a positive way that will come from that. So I'm kind of excited about that, by the way. Not excited to miss you guys for 6 months on Jimmy Rants, but I am excited to see what will that do. And even though up here I don't care about what other people think, even though up here I feel like I have nothing to prove, I still wonder, does it have any effect at all? Can you completely detach yourself emotionally from what other people think about you, what other people say about you? I don't know. From a human standpoint, it seems impossible. But when I'm not exposed to it for 6 months, I guess that'll be a telltale sign of what's going on. All right, let me finish the rest of this article. So it's not your job or responsibility to juggle all the issues like you're balancing glass plates that you're terrified you're going to drop. So Ashley Clemu says, let them drop. Let them drop. Because what's cooler than trying to juggle glass plates full of people's judgments of you is keeping your hands free in order to grab a hold of someone else's hand who needs a reminder of how loved and important they are. Guys, I try to do that for you guys on a daily basis here on Jimmy Rants. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I can't carry on, I hope that this show is that cool glass of water on a hot summer's day. I hope that that means that I'm here with you and you feel like I'm a friend guiding you, giving you good instructions, but also sometimes challenging you to push yourself to do things that you never thought possible. Keep your hands free from the juggling so you can use them for the work that's actually important. I don't know about you, but what other people are saying negative about me is not at all important. What is most important is knowing who loves me, knowing that I love others, and in that give and take that we have with each other as human beings, That to me is what's most important. This kind of animosity and no, I'm right, you're wrong, and oh, you're this, you're that. None of that really matters at the end of the day. Are we going to look back? Is history going to look back? I was going to say 100 years from now, but even 10 years from now. Think about what was going on 10 years ago, 2009. Can you remember? Were there squabbles going on in your life? I'm sure. Do you remember any of those squabbles? Do you remember who you were fighting and why? Most of us don't. Most of us, it's ancient history, 2009. So what seems so white hot, what seems so prescient at the front of your mind today as, oh my gosh, 10 years from now ain't gonna matter. So why are you worried about it today, right? Keep your hands free from the juggling so you can use them for the work that's actually important. You have nothing to prove and everyone to love, so let them drop. Let them drop. Again, the name of the lady that wrote this, Ashley Clemieux, ASHLEY KLEMIEUX. She's over on Instagram if you want to go follow her. I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful article. And again, hat tip to my friend Joanna Keto in Canada over on Instagram for sharing that with me here today. Hopefully that inspired you. And the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is stop caring about what people think about you because there's really nothing for you to prove. All right, I'm going to go to Instagram first with their messages. We'll be over here in just a minute with Facebook. Welcome in, you guys. Thanks for being here. I know that was a little off the beaten path of what I typically do here, but I do like to do the inspirational ones as well because I do think those add just as much value as what you put in your mouth. I needed this today, says MK. Thank you for that. People decide who you are based on their own experiences. Oh, imperfectly healthy. That preaches. She adds, people's opinions of you are not any of your business. That's hard for people, though, imperfectly. It's so hard, especially when your name is invoked. You feel personal about it. So how do you not let that impact you? How do you not feel that personally? But you're right. What someone thinks about you and what their perception of you is really has nothing to do with you at all. It's all about the individual. Rachel says, looking good, don't worry about those haters. Oh, I don't. I don't. Thank you, Tammy. I love you too. Nothing but respect for you. You look great. Thank you, Paleo Pharmacist. Look forward to interviewing you on La Vida soon. Yellow-eyed, all that you are has kept me following you for years. You and Christine are awesome. Thanks for being there, teaching me all that I know. That's awesome. I'm sure you know a lot more than what we've taught you, but thank you for that, Yellow-eyed. Selena, I think you're smart, studied, courageous, and winsome. I think you're pretty great. Thank you, guys. I didn't mean to make this a Jimmy Moore love fest, but thank you for all those kind comments. Lugene, I think you're perfect the way you are. Well, Christine would beg to differ that I'm perfect, but... Val says, my brother always says the worst advice is unsolicited advice. Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of unsolicited advice almost every single day. And here's the thing. If I listened and applied unsolicited advice, none of you guys would follow me. Because all of the advice pretty much wants to squelch my personality. They want to take away the essence of who I am. And whether you follow me because I act a little goofy or silly from time to time, or whether you like the knowledge or whatever, all of it is encompassed in the same package. And people want to try to compartmentalize you. And, oh, well, you're not allowed to do this because you should be this, this, and this. I'm like, who died and made you God and let you define who and what I am? So, yeah, I don't listen to a lot of advice. Rachel says people need to stop over-analyzing you. They need to mind their own business. You're a best-selling author. You have 5 podcasts, and you're a positive voice for the keto community. I think they're just jealous. Well, Rachel, I've often wondered that myself is, what's the dealio? Why are people, that obsessed? I don't get it. But I guess it means you're making a difference in the world if they're talking about you, either good or bad. I guess you're making a difference in the world. So, but yeah, Yeah, I don't have to prove myself to anybody, nor do I try. Let's see. Living in a small town, I learned a long time ago, says B.S. Bird, that what other people think about you doesn't matter. Exactly. It's their problem, and I'm not going to make their problem my problem. Oh, amen to that. That's the thing. If I sat there and tried to respond to all the negativity that's thrown my way, that's pretty much all I do on a daily basis. Literally, all I would do. Now, sometimes I'll engage just to have a little fun with them, just to see, because sometimes, and I've said this before on Jimmy Rant, sometimes people weren't grown well, and so their mama didn't raise them to treat people well, so they don't know how to talk right, and so sometimes it looks like they're asking a question, but they're being ugly about it, or saying a comment, they're being ugly about it, and then when you challenge them on it, they're, oh, I didn't mean it that way. Okay, well, say what you mean and mean what you say. George says self-honesty can be the biggest unconscious deception. Ooh, yes, George, that preaches, man. What are you doing during your sabbatical, wants to know Laura. Laura, honestly, I'm going to, for the first time in 15 years, detach from all of social media. Not do any podcast recordings. I'm not going to write any books. It's going to be hard. Because, guys, this brain doesn't stop. I'm always thinking of ideas. I got a whole stack of stuff to talk about for future Jimmy Rants coming up. I don't know how I shut that down. So it's going to be interesting, Laura. As far as physically what we'll do, we'll probably watch some Netflix movies, Christine and I. We'll likely travel a little bit, but not a whole lot, because travel is very stressful. And we'll just, in general, take it easy. I'll probably, I've been thinking lately, how fun would it be to maybe take a class or something at a local university? That might be kind of fun, just like a writing class, a public speaking class, just something, or even just something as whimsical as just like a yoga class or something. Because I don't usually have time in the day-to-day of everything that I do to do something. So we're going to think a little more. We do have a trip to Israel that's coming up at the end of the year to be right smack dab in the middle of this sabbatical. So we've got a few things up our sleeves, but most of all, just not being in the day-to-day engagement. How's this brain going to handle that? It's going to be real interesting. Helene wants to know, are you going on the fall cruise? So the Keto 101 cruise is like the third week in September, and I lead that. So that is something that I'm going to go on, but I'm already trying to plan someone else leading it. So I think it's leaving out of Miami, Florida, if you want to look into it, lowcarbcruiseinfo.com. But that's a great point, Helene. I'm going to try to get someone else to lead it, and Christine and I will just be there as spectators on the cruise. So, yeah. I stopped explaining myself to ignorant people long ago about my keto lifestyle. I just let them see the results, says Rachel. See, that's the way to do it. And see, another thing that I do, you guys, of not caring what people think and there's nothing to prove, and not trying to correct misinformation like the whole butter chugger imagery that people have of me, is I live my life. I come on to Jimmy Rants twice a day. You guys see me pour out my heart and soul on these episodes every single day. And so I don't have anything to prove. What you see is what you get. This is who I am. And I think not caring about what people think and simply living my life and being who I am is the best way to respond to these things. Thanks for these words of encouragement. You're welcome, Liz. Rachel Hollis has a quote that I love. She says, other people's opinion of you is none of your business. I like that one, Megan. I think even if we don't care what people think of us, it does affect cortisol. Tammy, it almost has to physiologically. I don't see how it could not. CDoc says cortisol is a killer. I went on a sabbatical and everything accelerated when no longer stressed. You'll start seeing that in September. I hope so, CDoc. That's kind of the goal of being away for 6 months. Tammy says, in my family, keto is a 4-letter word. Even after I lost 80 pounds, They really cause me a lot of stress. Well, that's so sad. Are you going to be at Keto Fest in July? No, I was not invited to speak at Keto Fest, so no, I will not be in Connecticut with the 2 keto dudes in July. All right, so Instagram, thanks for all those questions and comments. I'm going to come over to Facebook, who I have been ignoring. Sorry about that, you guys, but I do try to go through these methodically. All right, so welcome in. Let's see what we got here. Good morning from Toronto. Thank you, Claire. Thanks for being here. Rob says, you're so right on. Missy says, I love it. Just stop caring. I really don't care what you think of me. Felicia says, how about you mind your own damn business? Exactly. People should never assume or put down. They have no idea where our journey began and where we are now. Sad. Bonnie, that's so true. And I have always resisted the urge to jump to conclusions based on something I've heard about someone, because I don't always take at face value the depiction that others have made of people, because I've been the victim of the other end of that so much that I always give people the benefit of the doubt. If I hear something bad about someone, I always go right to that someone and engage, and always kind of ask questions and always try to befriend. And if I find that depiction is far different than what people have made of them, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Why do people believe that about you? And people say that about me. Again, they'll meet me and they're like, oh gosh, they told me that you sat there and you just gnawed on sticks of butter all day. And yeah, I don't do that. I don't know where that come from. Some people are just a-holes, says Julia. Well, there's more than some people that are. There's a bunch of them. I do not like most people like you, says Linda. But she says, I do like you. Oh, thank you, Linda. It's empowering and liberating when you start believing in yourself, says Larry. Yes. Whoever said, if you don't act silly, you'll get more followers. All I can say is that person is LOL. I stopped my housework to come to the phone to write this because it's beyond bonkers. People talk crappy garbage about people because they probably feel inadequate. I love you, Jimmy, and all your smiles, and you rock. Keep doing what you do. Don't ever stop. Oh, I won't stop. Except for September 1 to February 29th, I'm totally stopping. Guys, March the 1st, we're going to have a party on Jimmy Rants when I get back next year after this sabbatical. It will be a lot of fun. You won't want to miss any of the Jimmy Rants when I get back. I promise you. Claire, gotten to the point in my life when I don't have anyone to impress, doors that open. If you don't like me, believe in honesty, compassion, and truth. Too many angry people out there. It's the damn carbs and social media BS. And Claire, you bring up an interesting point. I wonder how much of my I don't really give a rip about what you think of me has to do with I'm older now. Maybe in my late 20s, early to mid 30s, I cared a lot more than I do now in my mid to late 40s. That could have something to do with it. Brittany says, I'm already RSVPing to the Jimmy Rants party. Maybe what we'll do is we'll have this big celebration, Brittany, where I rent out a place and all the Jimmy Ranchers can come in and we have a big old like welcome back party celebration. I don't know. The brain is just thinking. Jessica, this is something I needed to hear today. You're welcome. I've been down about my keto journey lately because I've been keto for over 2 years. I'm still overweight. The way media portrays keto, people makes people look me up and down wondering why I'm so overweight if I'm keto. I'm not sure why the weight loss is so slow, but I'm going to take advice from this article and really not let that get to me anymore. I know I'm doing my best and will continue to do so. Thank you for sharing this. You are very welcome, Jessica. And just on that point, you're not alone, sweetie. There's a bunch of people that still, despite their best keto efforts, deal with weight issues and have extra weight on their body. You're talking to one right now. I still have belly fat. And that's another thing that kind of feeds into this whole conversation of what we're talking about today is people see you need to move on from keto. It's not working for you. You still have belly fat, so you're not healthy. And that's where you don't need to worry about what they think. You know what your blood sugar's doing. You know if you're tracking it. You know what your insulin level is. You know that all of your health markers are doing really, really well. And you do not need validation from anyone or discouragement from anyone to tell you otherwise. So be confident in who you are. There's a saying, what others think of me is none of my business. I remind myself of that often. Amy, yes. See, Amy is my blood sister. She knows in this whole keto space. She knows. And we both have gotten our fair share of ugliness over the years, have we not, Amy? So, yes, that's a great quote. You give the best life lessons. Thanks, Joanne. I'm having a good laugh this morning. In the past, when I was making a decision to go on a diet on Monday morning, I would overeat the entire weekend in preparation. I thought of your recent commitment to go off of social media in September. Since that post, I see you every time I turn on my computer. I'm always here. I hope you're laughing with me. I am. I am always here. Well, at least till September, and then I won't be here at all. My first time watching. Thanks, Hans. You have a good reason. Yes, thank you. Sharon says you will be missed. Well, I'm here for a little while longer. By the time September 1 gets here, a lot of you guys are going to be like, all right, Jimmy, I think it's time you get out of here. We've had enough Jimmy rants. It's twice a day kind of thing. Rachel Hollis, no one gets to tell you how big you can dream or who you can be, says Amy. This is another reminder that I try to think of every day. I am who I am. I am what I am, what I am. And will never please everyone. Why am I killing myself trying? I love who I am and what I do, and no one can take that away from me if I don't let them. And Amy, you are a very successful author, fiction author, and you're living it. You don't have anything to prove. You're using your gifts and talents that God has given you, and you're succeeding. So I guess that might be feeding into a little bit of why I don't care anymore, is I've succeeded despite the negativity, despite the ugliness, despite the butter chugging memes, and despite used to caring about what people think. I think the fact that I've found success, I've had 3 international best-selling books. My publisher has said, you can write books for the rest of your life. I mean, how cool is that? And I don't feel like I have anything to prove because I've accomplished. And maybe that's what feeds into a little bit of this. How long are you taking off, Vicky says? 6 months. I'm going to be gone September 1st to February 29th. I love your rants. They're pretty much lessons to me, says Maria. If ever in the Stuart, Florida area, please, I would love to meet you and your lovely wife, Christine. People have a right to be wrong about me. That rung a bell with me. Thanks for all you do and say and write. You're welcome, Maria. I don't know where Stuart, Florida is. We usually go down the east coast of Florida. I've done some meetups with people in Jacksonville, in kind of the Orlando-ish area, and Miami, but I don't know where Stuart is. But if you follow me on social media, I usually post when we're gonna be somewhere. Your words resonate. Thank you, Hans. Amy says, yes, we have the t-shirts to prove it. Yeah, Amy bought me a shirt one time that said, haters make me famous. I still have that shirt, Amy. It's way too big on me now, but I still have that shirt. I should pull it out sometime and do a whole Jimmy Rants with my haters make me famous. Of course, it'd be like this number, so loosey-goosey. Sharon says, you hit it right on point today. I needed to hear this. Thank you from Austin, Texas. Sharon, you're very welcome. Tammy says, I can't wait for the famous Jimmy hug at KetoCon. I do love to hug. Hugs are kind of my jam. Kimberly says, I'm learning that others who want to be around you will be, and the others just get lost. Yeah. All right, guys. So the bottom line in this long-winded, bloviating Jimmy Rants, just kidding. is that we as humans want people to like us, and that's totally natural. Nothing wrong with that. But if it gets to the point where that wanting them to like us, you're so desperate for that affection from other people that you care about every little thing that they say, and you try to live your life based on what they say about you and to you, that's the wrong motivation. You need to stop caring about what they think of you, because you really don't have anything to prove to them at all. Yellow-Eyed says, we all suffer from caring about what other people think of us. We shouldn't. I am keto and don't lose well. I'm way healthier for sure. And that's a great life lesson, Yellow-Eyed, that you already know. Sadly, not enough people realize that when they don't see the number on the scale move, they get easily discouraged by what other people think. Let it go. Let it go. As Ashley Clemieux said, let those plates drop. Let them drop. They're going to crash to the ground. They're going to make a lot of noise when they do. You might have some flying shrapnel going on, but let them drop. Because when you do, all that tension goes away, all that stress goes away, all of the angst about how you try to please other people goes away. And I realize there's a bunch of you people pleasers out there. You know who you are. Let it go. Let the plates drop. And your body will reward you for doing that. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, we would love to have you join us live. And I go live a couple times a day. I'm on Facebook Live here, Instagram Live there. I try to do some YouTube Lives, but they make it real hard to be able to like scroll to find the comments there. It's so much easier on these two formats to scroll. YouTube, get on the ball with that and fix your scrolling issues so I can see the comments as they come in. But go follow me live. So I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN on Instagram. And you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. Here on Facebook, you can watch the replay pretty much when you want to. If you happen to miss any episodes of Jimmy Rants, we do put all of the past ones up on YouTube. So go follow me there. Again, geez, surprise, surprise, Living Low Carb Man on YouTube. Or you could just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So Instagram Live, until next time, we'll see you then.